All right, guys, welcome to another Tennis House The Journey podcast, where we bring you the untold stories of athletes grinding it out on the tour to make it on the tour. And today we're excited to be joined by Aziz Dougaz, Tunisia's top-ranked male tennis player who recently made history, one of the few Tunisians who qualified for the Australian Open. So it's an honor to have you on the podcast here. Thank you for doing this, Aziz.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's a great pleasure.
So we did one with Tristan Boyer. He qualified as well, and believe Tristan won one round in the Australian Open. That was like 4 or 5 months ago. So it's really fun to see. That time he was a little bit lower in the ranking. So it's really fun to do those. So Aziz, so qualifying for the Australian Open, like a big thing, and for especially in your country, Tunisia. We had Malik Yaziri before, right? Then we have Ons there, and so how are your emotions? You worked so long to qualify for a Grand Slam. So tell us a little bit about the experience.
Obviously, in Tunisia, I think I'm the only Malek did it in the history on the male side. So I'm the second player in the history to reach a Grand Slam main draw, which obviously means a lot to me. It's been one of my dreams, to compete in these big tournaments, and especially in Australia. I've always dreamt about playing in Australia. So it's one of few dreams coming true. Was an unbelievable experience. Qualis was tough. I think qualis of a Grand Slam are probably one of the toughest things a player can go through. All the players are so hungry. The level is so high, and the margins are super, super small. I fell short last year. I was in the last round of qualis in Melbourne, lost against Priznic, who ended up playing Novak in the first round. So I was honestly bummed about that, but got my chance again this year. And yeah, three matches in the qualis, all super tough, all played on few points, and really happy went my way. Also shows that gives me motivation, and confidence that the work I've been doing is positive and is starting to pay. And yeah, for players like us, playing challenges all the year, being in a Grand Slam main draw, it's an amazing experience.
So as you said, playing challenges, most of the year. How do you? So you go to a Grand Slam, prize money is higher, right? So that's one big thing because you
Yeah.
guys, on the Challenger Tour don't earn as much as like on the Grand Slam. So how do you stay focused and don't think about, oh, I need to perform well, for the points, for the money. So how do you go into the Australian Open qualifying this year? How did you go in there with which mindset?
I mean, obviously, everyone knows that the four slams are probably the four most important events for any player, especially the quali player, because that's where we earn, that's where we make our earnings, that's where we fund our season. So every win in a slam can make a big difference for our season, for our staff, for the financial situation we have. So I won't say that it's a normal tournament. The pressure is obviously much higher, and everyone is obviously also going to be much hungrier on the court. It's and part of it I like. I've always liked being under pressure. I've always liked playing these big events where there is a lot at stake. So I handle that pretty well. And yeah, as I said, the crazy thing is that you play in the qualities of Islam. I'm playing guys that I would be playing on challenges. So it's the same guys, except we're playing for big money in Islam, and then I play them 2 weeks later, and we're playing for a few $100. So it's pretty crazy. It shows how crazy our sport is as well.
And then what did you learn from this year's Australian Open? What are you going to take into next year?
For sure, a lot of positive from the qualies. I don't think I played my best tennis throughout the three matches. I think what I did best is I really stayed locked in when things weren't going my way in the matches. I waited for my chances, and I tried to compete as hard as I can every point, no matter if I'm playing good or playing bad in that moment. And momentum in matches switched so fast. So I've had sequences where I played really good tennis, sequences where I played bad, or not as good as I wanted. And I think the key is just trying to stay tough and hang in the match when things are not going your way. And I think I did that pretty well. I won my three matches in three sets,
Mm.
so nothing came easy. but I guess I found a way to maneuver these tough situations and then use my momentums when I had them.
I like that. That's a great mindset you have. All right, let's get to the second part, of the podcast, a little bit the finances. So, obviously a little bit easier getting good prize money, right? So, you make way more at the Grand Slams, as we said, than at the Challenger Tour. So, let me ask you one thing. How much does it affect you when you play the whole year and probably you don't have a physio traveling with you, you don't have like a full-time coach, you don't all those things, that the top guys have. How do you deal with that and how does it affect you guys, especially on the Challenger Tour?
Obviously, I think the tennis tour is a kind of an unfair competition. I don't like the way it sounds, unfair competition, but that's kind of the truth. Depending on the budgets, I feel like sports now are so much more a business thing than before. So it's like a company. I like to say this, like when you manage a company, if you have a lot of capital, then you can definitely invest more and earn more comparing to a company that has a low budget. Obviously, no, it doesn't matter how much you invest, you cannot make as much.
Mhm.
For sure, I think it's playing the slams changes a lot of things for us. I personally turned pro after college in 2020, so the year of COVID, which was terrible. So basically, I think my first year on tour was 221, and this is my fifth year starting now, and it's been challenging. I haven't had most of the time. I haven't had a coach. I've been having coaching for the last 2 years,
Mhm.
but I've been investing all the money I have into that, and it's starting to pay out. But definitely tough. Also, I think the country where we're from, or the culture, the sporting culture, the tennis culture of your country, it plays a big role in the career you can have. Personally, as you said, I'm number one in my country, and I still have zero sponsors from my country, except some funding from the federation
Mhm.
that I play Davis Cup for, but no help from any companies or anyone outside the federation. So it's definitely challenging when you know that most guys on tour have so much more funding from companies, from federations, from brands. So it's it's a difficult journey, but I definitely enjoy it a lot. I enjoy my own path, and I believe also in my story. So it may sound a little bit like I'm complaining, but I'm actually not. To be honest, I love my journey, and I'm really grateful for the opportunities I had. And I think what makes me appreciate more the results and hopefully reaching my goals, I'll appreciate more my journey and how I did it.
Well, you don't sound at all that you're complaining. To me, you sound like someone with a great mindset and a great goal to get there. Look, Aziz, I have another question. Does the money influence you how you schedule your whole year? Like, like I mean, you travel to China, to Europe, to everywhere in the world, right? Does that play a big factor in which tournaments you're gonna decide to play?
Obviously, depending the budget you have, I've been in many situations, maybe a little bit less in the last year and a half because I
Hmm.
started playing Grand Slams.
Hmm.
So I started at least making priority on my schedule. Whatever I want to play, I will go independently from the money it costs because I was able to play the Grand Slam. So I was putting all my money into that. But for sure, my first 3 years on tour, I wasn't able to travel much. And I never thought about, like sometimes I would get into challenges but on the other side of the world, and it was not a question for me to go there. It was too costly. So, uh, of course, the budget plays a big role into your scheduling. And you got to make choices as well, like do you spend your money on having your coach and playing tournaments that are nearby and maybe much tougher than the tournaments you could play, or do you go by yourself and you play so far away? So at the end of the day, it comes down to knowing what you want and making the right decision for yourself. um, I've done a lot of mistakes obviously in my career. I've been kind of doing it on my own
Hmm.
for a really long time. So it takes a lot of experimenting and doing mistakes to actually learn and find what works for me. So I'm at the stage now where things are better for me. To be honest, I have a coach that's traveling with me a lot. That's sacrificing also with me. So it's good. It's amazing to have someone by my side that's believing in me and dedicated to my project. But of course, more budget means a physio, means a fitness coach, and that changes a lot of things. You know, like when you travel for tournaments at the slams, it's a little bit different. You know, because the physios, there is everything for the players.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, physios, massage therapists, like your body's gonna feel great. You know, like I was feeling great in Australia, but for example, this week I'm in Doha, playing a 30K now,
Yeah.
and things obviously are completely different. You know, there's
Yeah,
no
you have
massage
to wait
therapist.
to get in line for physio if you get in and all those things. And
There
I
is
know
one
it's a hustle.
there is one physio. She cannot
Yeah.
dedicate much time. There is no massage therapist. While in Australia, I was having maybe an
Mhm.
hour and a half of treatment a day and an
Mhm.
hour of massage. So the body obviously recovers better, feels better. So yeah, I think at the end, what I try to do is adding things to my career, to my project, to my company,
Mhm.
and slowly building something solid and then can help me to reach my goals.
I like it sounds like you're very that as you said earlier, like learning from mistakes is one of the most important things. We all make mistakes with
Yeah.
everything on a daily base and just learning from that. And that was a great point I think you had. So the life on the road, when you travel so much, so you're away from home. Like how do you deal? Do you have any techniques mentally, or like do you do, like I mean, it's not easy to live out of the suitcase. I've done it for a year and a half, but I just played in Europe when I was younger, and I didn't go like travel the whole world. So how do you deal with that?
Honestly, I love traveling. So for me, it's never been an issue to be on the road. The tough part is obviously missing the family, missing your close ones, missing birthday, missing weddings, missing moments of joy, and also difficult moments for your family. You know, like you want to be there for the people you love. You want to be there for your family, and when you're, I don't know, 5,000 kilometers away, it's never easy. As much as you try to be present for them on the phone on this, sometimes I'd love to be able, to teleport and spend a day or two at home and then come back to my life. So I think that's the challenging part
Mhm.
for me. And obviously the better you play, the more money you make, the more you can have maybe the closest ones to you traveling sometimes
Yeah.
with you and spending time with you. I think that's a key also for your mental health, for being happy on tour. But as I said, I love traveling. I love discovering new cultures, and I don't mind honestly having two suitcases and a tennis bag and going on for months. I think if you don't like that, it's impossible anyways to succeed in tennis.
Yeah.
And yeah, I guess no one forced me to do this job. No one forced me to have these dreams. It's my own dreams. It's what I want more, what I wanted more as a kid and still now. So I try to see the positive in it.
I love that. I love that. So, a few more questions. So, in Tunisia, countries like Italy, for example, I know like a few years back they started to have more challenges in their own country, and now you see a lot of Italians, progressing and climbing up the rankings. So tournaments are very, very important. So in your country. I know that they have some futures there and everything. Do you have some challenges? Do they have some challenges as well, or do you?
So we only have one challenger the whole year. It comes before the week before the French Open every year.
Okay.
So it's great to play home once a year, but like you said, it makes such a big difference for players to be competing at home when you see
Yeah.
the Italians, the Americans,
Yeah.
and most of the tennis developed countries. I mean, these guys can play at home a big part of the year, and
Yeah.
it plays a big role because obviously you spend way less, you're closer to home,
Yeah.
you're in conditions that you like, and yeah, I think it makes a big difference. I would love to see more tournaments in Tunisia or in Africa or in the Arab countries,
Yeah.
which is not the case so far. But yeah, as I said, I mean, I won't be able, unfortunately, to change things, at least as of now. So just gotta adjust. And like you said, like if you look at the top 200 or top 250, I was actually having this discussion with my coach and some other players last time, you don't find many players that aren't from the big tennis countries. Like, I think if you take out maybe 7 or 8 countries that are the major tennis countries, you already got 80% or 85% of the players represented in the ranking. So it shows you that tennis at the end of the day is not very inclusive as of now. That's the truth. That's the truth for our sport, and it's really it's really centralized for the bigger countries.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. You know, like my parents are from Croatia, and like they have their issues, but they're producing always players, the same as
Yeah,
Serbia, and then, but I know federations, you know, it's deep conversation. They all could help always more, right? And
yeah,
and I feel like, like for example, Serbia, like Novak is the best player, that
yeah.
played, and still there's a lot of players that are ranked 200, 300, 400. They don't have a lot of support, so I just don't know why and how, if you have someone like that there, for example, in Serbia, so yeah, it's I hope things gonna change in the future a little bit in that sense. So um another thing is like Tunisia. I know soccer is big in Tunisia, right? So
Yeah.
probably number one sport. So tennis like, with ons and you coming, and like, is it getting bigger and more affordable for the younger kids to play, or
The thing is, obviously, I think it's affordable to start playing,
Mhm.
but when it comes to competing and trying to improve and trying to take it the next step, that's where things become extremely expensive, because the coaching is extremely expensive, the traveling is crazy expensive, especially for us. Our currency is really low; it's getting lower and lower
Mhm.
in the last 10 years. So the budget of people in general is decreasing a lot. So definitely, I would say it's a huge issue for young players in Tunisia is the financial side, and most of the times players have to stop playing when they're around 15, 16, and when they realize that it's too costly and they won't be able to afford it, and they deviate to studies, and they realize that yeah, tennis is a rough road and path, and it's unpaved for us, let's say, for people from Tunisia, even though Ans has done incredibly, and she's obviously doing amazing, and I think still it didn't change much in terms of the in terms of people or kids
Mhm.
having more opportunities and more support and stuff like that, which is sad, but at the end of the day, like I said, that's how the tennis world works. Also, if you think about it in terms of prize money, I was reading articles like yesterday, and it said that only 17% of the revenue generated by tennis is reversed to the players, and I think it's the lowest sport by far
Yeah,
in terms of major sports,
yeah,
which is unbelievable for me, because people are like, yeah, slams are increasing the prize money, it's amazing, this and
hmm
that, but at the end we're only getting 17%.
yeah,
I might be wrong by 1 or 2%.
yeah.
I'm not
No,
sure.
but in
That's
general, yeah,
what the
totally.
article said, but I think the general, yeah, is like we getting the percentage of revenue getting to the pockets of the player is incredibly low, and I don't see it changing, because unfortunately, I think tennis is a sport where players are really focused on themselves,
Yeah.
and the players that are trying to change things and have an impact beyond their own person are super rare, which is sad, because I feel like a true champion is not only winning slams or doing this and that. Is also having a big impact on your sport,
Yeah.
changing things to the good. And for me, Novak is the greatest example in that. He's been trying, to change things, and
Yeah.
I really believe he didn't find the support from the other big players, even the young ones that are now playing, even the previous ones. They didn't really fight or realize that the system needs to be changed, especially at a little bit lower ranked than them. So
Yeah.
I hope one day, tennis players can be united, and they can actually realize that maybe not even for us, but for the next generation, things need to be different.
Yeah, the same, as you said, like the prize money on the Challenger Tour, is ridiculous. You can win a challenger, and if you have a team, you pay still more than you than you earn. And like looking at other sports, if you're the 250 in the world in baseball, football, basketball, soccer, you earn so much you don't have to work anymore after that probably. So definitely, that will have to has to change in the future. I hope, that's why I want to have that podcast. I want to get a lot of players on here just to, express, like your journey is super interesting. And when I talk to you, I feel like, wow, for your age, you're super mature, and everything you do and say, and it's fascinating to me. And I guess that's what you have to be. Aziz, I have one more question, and then I have a fun like 10 questions, and then that's it already for today. So one
Yeah.
more question is, what do you think you need? So my friend, as I said earlier, is Damir Zumor, and Damir was not for a long time in top 100. He had injuries, and,
Yeah.
so he made it finally back into the top 100. And once you're in there, you're most likely going to stay a little bit in there. So, and I know every year, I don't know, if just five, six new names get in the top 100. So what do you think you need to do to get close to that top 100?
I think, like you said, every year there's only 5 or 6 guys that break into the top 100, so it's extremely tough competition. On my, for me, honestly, as I said, my project I started. I've already played 4 seasons on tour.
Hmm.
I've tried every year to have a more stable project, to have better bases around me, a coach,
Hmm.
and adding stones
Hmm.
all along the way. So that's what I've been trying to focus on the most. I know that the more stable I am, the more stable in all terms, like in terms of team, financially,
Hmm.
and in terms of also consistency of work. It will help me, to reach my potential. I really believe I have a lot of potential to get into the top 100, and I really believe in my chances.
Hmm.
And I think, it's a matter of time for me to keep adjusting, to keep building around my project, improving my team, improving my own quality of work. I come I'm coming a long way in terms of as a kid. Let's say I didn't have, I would say, the same conditions, the same practices, and the same basis, but all these guys I'm facing. So it's taking me time to build that, and to put a lot of hours on court, and to
Hmm.
work on those things. So it's taking me time, but I think I'm moving in the right direction. And I really believe in my process, that step by step I'm gonna reach my goal.
I love that. Yeah, I don't have any doubts. You know, I'm sure, like as I said, someone that thinks like that and has that mindset, yeah, great potential, obviously, to be in there. So I obviously cross my fingers and wish you all the best. That obviously you get in there. Aziz, 10 questions. All right, so they're short, whatever comes to your mind. All right, so let's start. What's your favorite tournament city and why? Not the tournament, just the tournament city.
Melbourne, the weather, the beach, the vibe, and the mentality.
Okay, I love that. If you could have dinner with any tennis legend, who would you choose?
One would have been Hisham Arazi, but I already done that. I'm pretty close with him now.
Oh,
For sure, it
nice.
would be Novak Djokovic then. Yeah.
Okay, I like that one too. What's the one thing you never leave home without on tour?
Well, I guess my rackets.
I
Because,
like I like that one. That one is easy. What's the best match you've ever played in terms of personal satisfaction? So personally, what did you feel was the best match you ever played on?
I think one of the best memories I had is the first round qualifying in the French Open last year. I played a French player, Kyrian Jacquet,
Uh-huh.
and it was an insane atmosphere. There was so many Tunisian fans in the stands, so many French fans, and
I love it.
and it was probably one of the highlights of my career in terms of atmosphere, of energy. Yeah, it was surreal, and obviously Tunisian community is big in Paris,
Yeah,
and all my friends, my family, and Tunisians were there to support, and it felt incredible.
I love that. Do you have a favorite pre-match ritual or superstition?
Not really. No, not really. Depends. Every week is different for me. So I don't have a set. I say music. Obviously, I try to listen to music and to
Mhm.
relax before the match.
Okay. What's the one thing you miss most about home when you travel?
For sure, my room, my bed, my family, and my cat.
What about food? Yeah,
Food.
you guys have good food in Tunisia. I've been once there. I like the food a lot.
We do. Funny thing is, always when I'm on the way back home, I never eat on the flights back home or maybe half the day before I'm coming home. So I try to be as hungry as possible so I can eat, all
I,
kinds of food there.
I like that. I like. Um, what's your to-go snack during a match? I know Novak, you used to eat like dates. They give you a
Yeah,
lot of energy and quick. So do you have anything you like to eat?
dates as well. Yeah, dates
Okay.
as well. They're really obviously famous in Tunisia. We export a lot of dates. We have a lot of
Hmm.
dates. So I always have few dates in my bag for the matches.
Yeah, I like them too. Who's the toughest opponent you have faced so far?
Uh, I would say Stefanos Tsitsipas. I played him in Davis Cup
Hmm.
maybe 2 years ago,
Hmm.
and yeah, was a really tough opponent to play. I felt like with his forehand and his serve, he could make the difference at any time. And even though I played a decent match against him, I felt like yeah, like every chance he had on the forehand to step in or to take time away from you or to open the court, he did that magnificently well.
Okay. All right, two more. If you weren't a professional tennis player, what career would you have chosen?
I always dreamt to be a pilot. So
Okay.
when I was 4 or 5 years old, I was like, either I'm gonna be a pilot or a professional tennis player.
Well, that's cool. And what's your last one? What's your favorite drill or exercise you like to do when you get in a training session?
Probably for me, my forehand is my best shot. So probably, like doing a lot of reps on my forehand, the attacking forehands inside in, inside out. I
Hmm.
like to rep those a lot before the tournaments, before the match, because it's my favorite shot, the forehand, and I like to feel that it's like ready for the matches because it's my weapon.
I love that. Man, Aziz, I had a blast. Like you're an amazing young man. Like really, like I've done interviews with Emilio Sanchez, with Paul Annacone, with Mary Pierce, and that's why I started this podcast, the Tennis House journey. Like the top of the top. I think a lot of people talk about it, and for me, I love listening to journeys like yours, and I like to like just it's fascinating, and I really hope and I wish you all the best, man. Like your dream's gonna come true.
No, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for hosting this podcast. Super interesting, as you said. And yeah, I hope we can catch up another time. Hopefully, I'll be much higher in the rankings, so we can adjust, we can talk about that.
Yeah, I would love to, and hopefully I see you at one of the majors, maybe this year.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be at the French in Wimbledon, and
Awesome.